Everyone, it's me again, Marcus. I wanted to make a quick video today. I made this video earlier today, but for some reason it didn't want to upload to YouTube, so I'm gonna make it right now again. Yeah, I'm sorry if I clear my throat during the video. I was a little sick earlier, and I'm slowly getting better. If I sound sick, then I'm really sorry. But today I'm going to talk about grammar and give my 2 cents about this subject in the process of learning a language. A lot of people have shared their opinion already, and some deem it as the most important thing in a language, learning languages, and some people say, oh, it's not important at all. Um, I mean, the most important thing for me is vocabulary and being able to speak and use words, and also to just, without vocabulary, without words, then you can't really speak to anyone and hold a conversation. And I think the more words we know, the better. And I mean, obviously, um, and practicing using words and stuff like that. So not just to know them, but to actually use them as well. So vocabulary, but I think grammar is also very important. There are many aspects of language learning, and I think the vocabulary is one, grammar is another one, and I think that grammar is really, really, truly important. And I have a few notes down here. Um, why I think that it's important to learn grammar in a foreign language. Well, if we look at, well, I guess for me, and I think for most people, in grade school or middle school, we all learn grammar in our own language. I had English grammar, English class from I don't know, second or third grade until maybe high school. So mostly middle school, I concentrated on grammar, and because even as a native speaker, even as native speakers, English people still make mistakes. All native speakers make mistakes in their own language at first, and maybe no one's ever perfect in a language, but I think that it's important to learn grammar so that we don't say things that are just off. One example I have is when someone says in English, okay, I learned this in middle school. I used to say all the time, "Oh yes, my friend and me, we will do this." It's grammatically incorrect. The correct thing to say is "my friend and I," and just little things like that, or I mean, just or conjunctions and stuff like that. And if it's important in our own language, to learn it in our own language, to kind of get a grasp of the structure of the language, then I think that it's kind of vital to do it in a different language. Not necessarily to learn all this grammar all at once at the same time. Learning this complex grammar before learning enough vocabulary to be able to speak. But as kind of learning vocabulary and grammar at the same time and improving both at the same time. Um, yeah, like basic grammar and then kind of more complex grammar as we go along, and as our vocabulary gets more complex and complicated, and it's really fun to kind of watch both of the things grow. Um, what else? Um, just another thing, I think that it's really important to have, for me, it's really important to have structure. I could listen, I mean, it's really important to listen, and you could listen to a conversation with maybe Asimil or something else, or just two native speakers talking, or a podcast or whatnot, and you'd pick up on vocabulary and you would pick up on grammar sometimes. But I think it's really good. I mean, listening is the best part, to me. Listening and reading as well, and you can kind of pick up on the grammar just by doing that. Uh, Saying that, I think it's still important to maybe have a grammar book. Like just as we had grammar books in our own native languages, in when we were younger, earlier in middle school, grade school, etc. Maybe in high school too. I don't know. I forgot. And I also see it like this. Grammar is kind of like each language is different. So we have English, and then we have, let's say, German, and then we have French as well. Let's just use those three languages. each language has different grammar. English and German are Germanic languages, but the grammar is slightly different. Of course, as they're different languages, but even though they're in the same language family, French is a Romance language and obviously has a different grammar. I think that being familiar with one grammar, for me, let's say English, will help me be more aware of grammar in other languages. So it helps us be prepared. It helps us to be prepared in other languages. And for example, like it helps with cases and like in English we have the direct object, the indirect object, and we don't really have I mean we have cases, but we don't really see that. Um, we just have and the words always stay the same. But in German, if it's a certain case, then it's a different word. And then the gender as well. That's just another thing entirely. It's something else. But just being familiar with genitive and accusative and dative, and if you weren't prepared, or if we weren't prepared to. If we just all of a sudden saw that, then it would just be kind of like it'd just be a little overwhelming, in my opinion. And I think that grammar just provides structure, and I mentioned this in my video that I made this morning, but like I like to exercise, and the body is there, and let's just say that the vocabulary is kind of comparable to the muscles of the language. The more vocabulary you have, the more foundation, the more strength you have. But at the same time, I think that we all need grammar. Grammar is kind of like the skeleton of the language, and um, without grammar, then it's just a bunch of words, and it's just kind of like the muscles, or the muscles of the language can't really hold themselves up. It would be strange for someone to have really good vocabulary but no knowledge of grammar at all. And yeah, and personally, I want to be taken seriously in a language, so I think that it's really important to if if we're getting really deep in a language, or if we want to get really deep in a language, then I think that it's important to have a good grasp of the grammar, and not to play the guessing game, because I really don't want to guess. Is it accusative, or is it with this verb, or is it with this verb? How am I going to conjugate that? I don't really want to think about that when I'm speaking to somebody. I just want to kind of flow. And we all make mistakes, and from mistakes we learn, of course. But yeah, yes, I just want everything to be as good as possible. So the grammar has to have, you have to have good bones. And I guess for French, I have I might have shown this before, but I have the Ultimate French Review and Practice. I've used it a little bit. I should use it more, but I'm kind of lazy with that. Um, but yeah, it's just structure, and it helps in the long run, in the short run as well. And yeah, just learning a little bit at a time. And yes, and also, I mean, I think grammar, for me, it helps with confidence in a language as well as vocabulary, but more so with grammar, possibly because just it, it just changes and grows. I guess as at the beginning, we're kind of like little babies with languages, and um, I don't want to be kind of stunted in my growth, and so I have to improve my grammar so that the bones of my language, my French language or German language, grow. So yeah, I think that's all for this video. I hope that it actually uploads tonight, and I will see you all later. Thanks for watching, and comments are welcomed. Yeah, ciao.